Guys who did something stupid for a girl, what did you do? A girl was leading me on, but also being obvious about it. I was stupidly believing I could change her ways and get her to actually date me. She had revealed she always wanted a giant teddy bear. So for her birthday/Valentine's Day, I bought a giant bear costume from Amazon and like 90 roses. The idea was one for every day I had known her. Creepy and cringy af looking back. Anyhow, she called me drunk the night before and screamed mean shit at me, and I finally broke down and told myself she was a shitty person because she always was terrible to me, and I let myself think I could change that because I was desperate to not be alone. In the end, I created a sign that said free bear hugs and roses for Valentine's and wore the bear suit onto our college campus on Valentine's Day to give away all the roses. It made so many people happy that it was one of the best things I've ever done. So many hugs and girls were crying because they didn't have to feel so alone on a shitty commercialized holiday. It was cool. Plus the football players all took a flower and hugged me, which was surprisingly wholesome. Do I have to pick just one thing? High school. I had a good job where I could work 40 hours a week and go to school. So I had a stupid amount of money and parents who, for some reason, didn't pay any attention to what I was doing with it. As a senior, I was dating a sophomore, and her mom told her, "It's not your prom, so I'm not paying for a dress and everything." I ended up spending well over $1,500 on dress, and hair, and makeup, and shoes, and manicure, and a photo shoot, and a custom-made blue topaz pendant with a massive stone I handpicked to perfectly match the dress she would be wearing. Last time I saw that stone, it was on a chain around her best friend's neck after we broke up. College. Girlfriend of several months called me up and was sobbing incoherently. All I could make out between the gulps of breath and wailing was died. Her grandmother was not well, and she and I would go visit her from time to time, so I assumed it was her grandmother that died. I threw my Xbox controller mid-game at my roommate, leapt to my feet, and said, "Hey man, I have to go." Once I arrived at her apartment and calmed her down, I managed to ascertain that it was not her grandmother who had died, but her goldfish. She said she wanted to have a funeral for her fish. I was annoyed, but determined to compassionately help her cope, because obviously that goldfish mattered to her. I recommended she go get cleaned up and take a hot shower to relax, and while she was in there I called up a couple of my friends, and some of her girlfriends. I had a buddy of mine go to the park at the small campus lake and dig a fish grave. I had her girlfriends take her out to lunch. Then I got the floating carcass out of the bowl, wrapped it in toilet paper, and placed it in a jewelry box coffin. We went and had a full fish funeral with music and people speaking, and Psalm 23 by the lake. Afterward, when we were back at her apartment, she said, "I don't know why you did that. We should have just flushed it." We broke up a few weeks later. TLDR, I was an idiot who made underappreciated grand gestures. Edit my first silver. Thanks, kind stranger. I'll use it to buy a life insurance policy on my kid's first goldfish. Edit 2. My wife is going to be thrilled that my first Reddit gold was a story about ex-girlfriends. Now I have to go figure out how gold works, lol. Edit 3. There's some vitriol in the comments toward the bereaved fish owner. This was 15 years ago. Most of us are cringy and foolish at times when we're younger. She's a perfectly delightful person, just not the person for me. Be kind. Beaming face with smiling eyes. I met a girl and fell head over heels for her. She lived in another state. Nevertheless, we started a long-distance relationship. Coincidentally, she had just lost her job, so I sent her money every week, almost my entire check, and I drove out to see her every chance I got. That autumn, I found out she had a boyfriend and was just using me to pay her rent. I was at work when I found out and just left. I had to confront her about deceiving me. I drove 3 hours to her house, and by the time I got there, I knew it didn't matter. She wasn't the person I thought she was. I gave her everything I had for nothing in return. Instead of being mad or saying something that would win her back, I told her that she a horrible person for lying to me, that I hope someday someone hurts her as much as she did me. The next day, I went back to my job to see if I could get my last paycheck. My boss took me into his office and laid into me about being irresponsible and failing the company. While I was sitting there, I could barely hear him as all I could think about was how stupid I was, and suddenly, I started crying. I mean torrents of tears, ugly cry. I must have bawled for a good 10 minutes. My boss stopped berating me and silently waited for me to get control of myself. Then, in a very sympathetic tone, he told me it's okay. I was in love like that once. We all do stupid things in the name of love. Try to learn from this. It may seem like the world is ending, but it's not. You'll be okay. Then he sent me back to work stating that we never have to talk about it again. He was a good boss and a great guy. Edit a word. Edit 2, wow. My first gold. Thank you, kind strangers. I'm really surprised by the responses. Thanks for the encouragement and kindness. And to those of you who share similar experiences, I hope you have learned, as I have, that you are not alone. If your heart was broken, it will heal. To quote a friend, you'll be okay. I will try to answer some questions here. This happened almost 30 years ago. I had just graduated from high school. She was older than me by several years. We met through a friend I worked with. He found out what she was doing and told me at work. Probably not good timing. I freaked and just walked out. When I went back to work the next day, I was just planning to ask if I could be paid for the hours that I had completed that week. This was back before direct deposit was a thing. I no longer work at the company. The boss eventually retired and sold it. I gave her money because I was young and stupid. She weaved tales of woe, and I was all too happy to be the hero and save her. I sent the money via Western Union. Fun fact, if you send a lot of money through WU, they will automatically make you a gold member. So I got that going for me, which is nice. There were a lot of red flags that I ignored. The most glaring was that she lied. She lied to everyone. And here was my dumb ass thinking she wouldn't lie to me. It was my first time being in love. I had girlfriends in high school, but I had never felt like I was in love with them. So I had no idea that someone could use that against me. My boss ended up being like a father figure to me. Gave me a lot of advice and guidance. I am now married to the love of my life. I am now a manager, and I try to emulate some of my former boss' great qualities with the people who work for me.